Hello and welcome to another episode of Epic Geek Out, the only show on the internet where the barcodes on the back of our heads point to epicgeekout.com. I'm your host, Chad.
They're QR codes. I'm your host, Rob, and today we're going to be reviewing Hitman Absolution.
As always, you can check us out over at Twitter at Epic Geek Out. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/epicgeekout, and also check out the website, www.epicgeekout.com.
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
Video game time.
Let's do it.
So today we're talking about the fifth game in the Hitman franchise. It's called Hitman Absolution. It comes to you from IO Interactive. It's the game developers. It's published by Square Enix. And it follows along the storyline of Agent 47, who is a hitman, hence the title of the game.
And a snazzy dresser.
Yeah, he is. He wears a nice suit. And he is basically ordered to kill this woman, and he kills her. But then she has I'm assuming, daughter. We haven't gotten too far into the story. And so he kind of takes that on as her...
Someone who is very important to the agency
right,
as well.
The agency, right? Mm-hmm. Which is the company he works for. He gets hits that he has to perform. And so he goes out and he has to take care of this.
He performs the hits.
Right. Well, that's true.
Great singer.
So he has to basically take care of this girl, and he's kind of fighting against the agency in this game. Really interesting game for me because I loved the older Hitman games on PC and whatnot. So this is kind of a return to the franchise. I haven't played the past couple. So for me, it's interesting. Some good voice acting in it. Powers Booth from 24 and many other things. But also Vivica Fox, some other really famous people that you wouldn't think of being in a game. So that's interesting. We played the single player on PS3.
Yep.
And what did you think of it? Of the game so far?
Here's my experience. I load up my PS3. I'm starting to play this game, and I'm getting into the storyline. I'm really getting into it. They have a prologue to get you up to date with all the games. Because I have not played, I don't think, any games in this franchise except for maybe one back in the day that I don't even remember. And saw the movie, wasn't too impressed with that. Yeah. But so I do kind of understand. It's a shooter in this vein. So.
But still,
I'm starting to play the game, and it has a bunch of the, really good cutscenes. I think it sets it up very well for the people who weren't accustomed to the franchise. But then I start to play the game. It took, and please take this review, for what it is. I really did not enjoy my beginning time playing this game, and I think that really affected the rest of my gameplay experience. I could not get my controls set up for some reason that, maybe it's because we were playing on the PS3 and I'm used to playing games on the Xbox now. I'd say I'd use that system more, for gaming, and PS3 more for a home entertainment system than anything else. But I could not get my control set up where I wasn't looking, I couldn't control the camera in the beginning. And I think that's on me. So again, please take this all with a grain of salt. This is just my experience of the game. I'll just tell you what it was. So it took me forever just to get it set up to where I wanted it to be, where it wasn't moving so fast, and just to get the controls down. I didn't realize that this game was a stealth game. I haven't played the franchise. I thought it was a run and gun, accomplish these missions kind of thing. More kind of not Gears of War-esque, but a third-person shooter in that regard, and not
more like a Max Payne.
throw this wrench, distract this guy, go around him. You can kill him, but then you have to drag a body. I felt the whole having to hide the bodies thing was really. I just was like, oh, I wish I didn't have to do this. You could throw a blanket over him or something, because it just got really tiresome for me. Again, I think this was all marred by the fact that in the beginning I could not get this game to work for me, and I just couldn't get the controls down, and so it really isn't my type of game. There are these expansive, incredible third-person experiences. Single player, really not my thing. I really enjoy multiplayer gaming. If I'm going to play a single player game where it's this huge world where there's the stealth element or not, I'm going to finish Assassin's Creed before I even think to pick up this game. It's not my thing. very creative with some of the things that they do. You know, you can do this instinct view, which is kind of like in the Arkham City where you know, use the detective
and even
lens
Assassin's
or
Creed
whatever.
with the Eagles view and all that stuff.
So you know,
it's the same.
It definitely
That's
is
new to the series.
Yeah. So it does have its good parts. I think it's probably a good game for the people who like it. It's just I'm not looking to play a game where, you know, they put you in this like maze situation. You know, you can pick up another disguise and you walk around here. Oh, this guy's going this way. Yeah, it's not what I enjoy in gaming. So, you know, I think I'm being a little unfair just because of the beginning pickup of this game. I was looking all over the place, so it was really awful. But so I mean, if you're a fan of the franchise, definitely check this out because the graphics were solid throughout. The voice acting was good. But it's just not my kind of game. So
yeah, I think it was very like one thing I initially took from it was very cinematic. The initial part has credits just like a movie. I felt like I was playing a movie, which is really cool. And I think the cutscenes are even though I wasn't sold on the voice moving, the facial expressions moving with the words as much as other games have been lately. I think that the graphics had a style to them, which was cool and interesting. And the story overall was very engrossing, and I was kind of pulled into that a little bit. The gameplay elements, there were things that they changed in this game, and I think that they said they wanted to make it more accessible to the average player who hasn't played the other games, but keep the hardcore elements of Hitman. And yes, it's a stealth game. It's much like Splinter Cell and stuff like that. And I enjoy that stuff. My problem is that you go into a situation and there's some really cool ideas in this game because you're going in as a hitman, a stealth game in a crowded Chinatown. I think that's such a cool idea because you're around people. Like, what do? You know, usually you can sneak around. You see one person you have to avoid, whereas this you have to kind of go through crowds or push people aside. Really cool concept. Also through the hotel, there's a hotel sequence where you have to like go up through the different floors of the hotel. Really cool concepts. My problem is I never figure them out, so I always alarm someone, and then I just have to shoot everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that they could have done a better job indicating to the player different options. They did have that instinct view, but I don't think it was as effective as it could have been. Pretty much one of the main purposes of it is to see the paths of people that they walk, which is useful in some circumstances. But
things that you can pick up that are in
and
also they had things that you can pick up, but then other things that you can't.
Right.
I mean,
exactly. Yeah, and I think
that, you know,
I think if there was maybe a better map system where it showed you, okay, if you want to do this, you can go to this area, and then this is where you do. Because there were so many options, I think that there were too many options, and it was hard to figure out what would have worked in that situation. And then I would just alarm somebody, or I'd get like real far. I'd get like a disguise, and I'd go up to the next room, and then like you have to put on a different disguise to get to the next room. And I'd alarm somebody, and then I'd have to go all the way back and start over again.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a little bit frustrating for me. But overall, I think that it's a solid game, and I think that, you know, they kind of upped the ante with this one. And if you like the other games, you're going to love this game because it kept those cool, hardcore, stealthy elements to it. But the graphics are better, the story is 10 times better, and it's just a fun experience if you like that stuff. Obviously, not into it.
Not my thing.
But you know, it's Hitman, so it's more of the same, but a little bit of an improvement.
And I do just think it is hard with. I feel kind of overloaded with games right now.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
true,
I still want to go back and play Guild Wars too, and I haven't had a chance to do that. You know, you know, I beat Black Ops, the single player for that. You know, I'm still working on Halo. I want to get back to Assassin's Creed, even though I still haven't done that. So there's just so much out. I think that also hurt it. You know.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're Assassins in this are two stealth games, but very different. So I think if you prefer that, you know, this is obviously a different type of stealth game. It's much stealthier stealth game, you know. But that's Hitman, and it's, you know, it's good. I think for what it does it well, and people are going to be happy that there's another Hitman game out. So check it out, Hitman Absolution. So it's that time to give our geek thanks for some awesome stuff that you guys should check out. So Rob, what's your thanks today?
So thanks to Movie Pass, which, you know, we've mentioned before, it's been great. It's a subscription-based service where, as long as the movie theater accepts Discover cards, right, that you can, you know, go to pretty much unlimited movies, you know, one per day, you can't repeat movies, things like that. But I've been really just checking out movies now that I might not have gone to seen, because I didn't want to spend the money or, for other reasons. But on Saturday, I checked out Rise of the Guardians, and it's a Christmas movie where it kind of takes the tropes of. The Guardians in this movie are Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, Sandman, and the Easter Bunny. And, they're bringing someone else into their ranks, Jack Frost. Voice acting is pretty great across the board. Chris Pine, Alec Baldwin, Isla Fisher from Wedding Crashers. Yeah. And then Jude Law's one of the bad guys. And it certainly was not the best movie I've ever seen. It's not an animation that is on par with like Toy Story 3 or anything like that. But there were so many creative parts of this movie that it just had me sitting there and I was like, that's cool. And there were so many moments of that throughout the movie that, I really would recommend this. I think kids are going to like it, It didn't have that like adult kind of feel, except it kind of was about like the loss of childhood and growing up too, but it didn't hit home like Toy Story 3 did. But thanks to Movie Pass, I got to check that out, and I enjoyed it. I think it's a pretty decent Christmas movie to go see.
Cool, awesome. All right, well, I'm gonna thank an app / online website thing called Pocket, which is basically, it used to be called Read It Later, I think, and I read a lot of blogs. We both do, and
I learn things during these things. It's great.
Yeah.
So.
And for me. Lately, it's just been too much to just kind of sit there and read blogs because there's just so many that I'm subscribed to and all this crazy stuff. So this basically adds it to, you can add it to your Pocket and read it later. And it has a really cool interface on the iPad where it displays it like in blocks, like almost like a Pinterest looking thing. And you can just kind of scroll through and pick ones you want to read and just kind of saves it so you can read it offline too. You don't need to be connected to the internet, which is pretty cool. And I actually use something else called If This Then That, which is itttt.com. And what that site is basically you can set up rules. This is an awesome site, which just actually deserves its own thanks, but I'll just mention it now because I use it for Pocket. It basically, you can set up rules for certain apps, and when those things happen, it'll do other things. So for example, in this case, anytime a new article comes up on my Google Reader, it'll save it to my Pocket. So then I can just go to my Pocket and read everything.
That seems
you can
very
also do like every time I get an email from Rob, it'll text me or stuff like that. It's really cool. You just basically pick one thing. If it does this, then it does this. And you can do it with Twitter, Facebook, a bunch of cool apps. So check that out. It's ITT, whatever. I'll put it up there because it's so confusing. It's like a lot of T's. So that's it for this week of episodes. But guess what? We're going to be back next week with some more episodes for you. But thanks for watching, and we hope you guys have a great weekend.